Target endorses PDA. Is that for your job?
Do you get it?
Yeah, it's going.
Alright. Not gonna time that long, so like I said, test tomorrow is 40 multiple choice questions. Those 40 are scantron. And then after that, there's going to be, if you're here tomorrow, if you take the test tomorrow, you're going to get a bank of 5 or 6 essay questions, and then of those, you have to pick 2, okay? And then period 7 class will get 5 or 6 different essay questions. They'll have to pick 2. If you don't take the test tomorrow, you're going to get 3 essay questions, you got to pick 2. Makes sense? One of the options for each class is going to be from the readings that you're supposed to do. So you don't have to do that one necessarily, but if you didn't do the readings, you won't be able to do it right. There's no way you get it right without doing the readings. So, but you don't know, like, there were 3 different reading topics. One was men and women pay differences. Another one was on Title IX. And then another one was on affirmative action, right? Or no, not affirmative action. Women in combat, yep. So, like, let's say period 2 gets the one for Title IX, then period 7 could get the one on women in combat, and the makeup group might get the other one. Make sense? So, there'll be one for each group. The essay topics are, there's a variety of stuff. If you print it off the review sheet or you look at that on SharePoint, that has quite a few of them on the right-hand side. So I reworded them a little bit, but topically they're basically the same thing. So, like, if you paid attention in class to the major points that I talked about, if I took a lot of time and did like activities to explain something, chances are that's going to be one of the essay questions. Okay? So, it's pretty straightforward. Any questions about format or about essay questions?
Essay questions are.
I don't think so, but I mean, right.
So basically, if you like pay attention at all in class, like the discussions, you should be pretty set.
Well, yeah, like for example, this week, what did I spend a lot of time talking about this week?
The
politics.
Types of authority.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Authority. So again, like period 2 might get that essay question, period 7 might, you don't know, but that's going to be one, right?
Do you know which ones already?
I haven't decided which way I'm going to go with. I know what the essay questions are. I'm not going to, I don't know which period I'm going to give them to you. But we also spent a decent amount of time talking about, well, not as much as I would like, but approaches to peace. We mentioned that at the end, talked about it a little bit. We spent a decent amount of time talking about types of feminism. We talked about, like, as always, applying the major perspectives to something. So if you can do that, that's a few of the essay questions, right? Applying major sociological concepts to, let's say, race and inequality, or to gender inequality, or whatever. So, again, if you paid attention in class, I think you should be fine there. Okay, makes sense. Okay. So with that, I tried to, since there's 40 questions and it's on 4 chapters, roughly I tried to make it so that there's about 10 from each chapter, right? And I might have one that there's like 12, and there might be 9 in another, and 8 in another, but it's roughly 10 for each one. So the first chapter, again, was on race and inequality. So a lot of that has to do with the conflict analysis of stuff. Obviously, you should be able to define different concepts sociologically. So, for example, what would an economic, sociological definition of economics be?
Society's allocation of resources.
It's the social institution or social organization that allocates resources in society.
Wow.
Yep. So you can break it down more specific than that, like goods and services, natural resources, supplies, money. But at its root, the economic institution that divides out goods and resources and services would be the economy. Okay. Another major concept we talked about was the difference between capitalism and socialism. So give me like a word that summarizes the difference between capitalism and socialism.
Opposite.
Okay, opposite would be a good example. Now, what else?
Individualism.
Individualism could be related. What else?
Quality.
Equality. Okay. What else? In capitalism, what drives economic decisions?
Incentives. Profit.
Market, yeah. So profit, incentives, in the market. In socialism, what drives economic decisions?
Fairness.
Yeah, fairness or equality. Yeah. Capitalism, in and of itself, believes that it is fair, right? So socialism believes it is fair, but it's the capitalist system, what makes it fair? Like if you're a supporter of capitalism, why do you think it's fair?
Everyone has an equal chance to be good. They have to work for it.
Yeah, so if you excel, another person could excel and sell a lot of stuff too, right?
Yeah.
So now some people on that conflict perspective would say, in reality, there isn't an equal opportunity for individuals, but Holly, if you want to, you could sit there, or I could slide this over. So there's a chair right there, right?
Thanks, though.
Okay. So you guys talked about that a little bit. What? Okay, so you have the economic system, and it's composed of all these smaller groups, like businesses and stuff like that. So what is like the big businesses collectively? What are those referred to as? Corporations, yeah. So, yeah. What, in corporations, what kind of influence do they have?
No, I did for real.
Work. Influence.
Yeah, like what can they do?
They can like, be part of like colonialism. And they can like decide on like country's market. Their entire economy. For example, like if Walmart were to crash, a lot of economies would be in a hurt bag because, I mean, Walmart's a huge contributor to the economy.
Yeah. So if it's a corporation, they have such an influence on societies that they can exert a lot of power, even more power than government in some instances, right? Because let's say you have a small town, or a smaller town, Thief River Falls would be a good example. They have a big business there. Does anybody know what it is? Like there's one dominant employer in the town. It's called DigiKey. You guys heard of that at all? So they sell a bunch of computer parts, but it's like, I'd say 60% of the people in the town work for this one business. Probably more than that.
Isn't that like house?
Yeah, like Gwinner, there's that Bobcat plant in Gwinner. Yeah, like if they shut down, the town dies pretty much, right?
Solar plant and everything.
Yeah, so corporations exert so much influence that they can have more power in the government than the government in many instances. Okay, so if you say that the economy, a sociological definition for that would be the social institution that organizes resources and distributes stuff. What would be a sociological definition for politics then?
Society's distribution of power.
Yeah, it's distribution of power and decision-making capability. Good. Why do certain organizations resort to terrorism?
Show that use of violence is a valid like political tool. Strategy. They're willing to use that as a strategy.
Yeah, it's a political strategy, but let's say, like, I'm trying to protest something in West Fargo, and I just decide, you know, they're not going to listen to me, I'm just one teacher, so I decide to take all you hostage or something, right? So, right. Why, what did you say?
To gain attention, it's just very tactics. The more attention you draw by having fair, the more people are going to give you.
So if I felt like people were listening to me already and I had a decent amount of power to change my situation without using terrorism, would I?
If you wanted to, some terrorists are like super crazy, so they just do it.
Oh yeah, and you gotta, the people that are cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, you have to throw out of the equation, right? But, you know, generally speaking, if somebody is in power, if you're the person in power, you're not going to use terrorism. Because you can use the normal channels of power, like getting stuff done politically by voting or whatever to get what you want, right? But so basically, in most instances, the people that exert terrorism, one of the reasons they do it is because they don't have as much power as the people that they're trying to terrorize. So it's a way that they can use that to get their goals accomplished. Okay. What's a sociological definition of race?
It's like biological differences in the meanings that people attach to them.
Yeah, there's two parts to race. It's the biological differences, and then it's also the meanings that people attach to them. Good.
Yeah.
Because it's not necessarily just the biology that matters, right? What matters is somebody's perception of that biology also. So you could be like a Hispanic guy, and if you look Middle Eastern, and you run into somebody that's racist against Middle Easterners, they're not going to care that you're really Hispanic. What they're going to care is that you look like you're Hispanic, right? Or that you look like you're Middle Eastern. Okay. What's a sociological definition for a minority then?
A group at a disadvantage.
Okay, so it's a group that's subordinated or at a disadvantage from one group. And then what else? This part's kind of common sense. It's so common sense that you don't necessarily know. No, because you could be a minority and actually have more people in your category.
They're like lower the classes.
They have a distinct identity, so they're separate. They can be identified somehow, right? And then they're subordinated or looked down. What's the general trend regarding racism been in the United States over the last 50 years? Has it gone up? Has it gone down? Generally speaking, it's gone down, right? Okay, if you try to take a group, and make them like part of your culture, what's that called? Assimilation. Yep. In the southern United States, what's the most dominant, in the southwest United States, what's the most dominant ethnic minority? Hispanic. Okay. Southwest, yep. Arizona, New Mexico, California, Texas. Okay. What's the difference between the word Arab and Muslim?
Muslims the followers of Islam, the people in Arab is Middle East.
Right. Arab is an ethnic category and a race. Or Arabic would be a language, right? Muslim is a follower of religion. Where do most immigrants that are coming to the United States come from? Like right now?
Latin America and the Far East.
And Asia, yep.
Are they from Asia?
Asia and Latin America. Okay. I talked about a few court cases regarding affirmative action. There was one in Michigan. Could somebody describe that a little bit? The what?
Is that hockey?
Does that have to do with the college?
Yeah. Has to do with the college.
Didn't get in
Is that the law
because
school one? No, or the
like the
California.
150.
So law school one in Michigan, yeah.
Yeah, so wasn't that where they were basically they were reserving a certain amount of seats for minorities in their law school, so more qualified majorities were getting not preference?
Well, that's what affirmative action is specifically, yeah. But what was the part of the court case that had a lot of problems? There were actually two court cases in the Michigan instance. There was an undergrad one and there was a law school question one. But what was one of the issues in that made people so upset?
Was it the one where like the white girl was more, like she was better, but the people not white girl?
Yeah, that was the court case. But on what grounds? Like, what did they use their basis for the decision?